Right, now continuing a bit of a drive to get some new stuff uploaded until we get some bigger and more unique things in. What I'm going to do is quickly show you a machine that's in production here. I say a machine, it will actually just be a shell. The customer will be fitting out his own components into this one. But what he's done is he wanted something a bit more, well, flashy when it's eventually finished and a bit more unique. So what he's done is asked for us to create a pedestal system for him. Now it looks very odd compared to other ones, and this is because the customer wanted to use his own prefabricated control panel. In this case it's the X-Arcade system, which you can see over there. This is the X-Arcade tank stick, which he had originally bought and had customised with lit controls and Samwar joysticks, and what he asked us to do, because it was damaged, what we've done is took all the controls out, reskinned the top with an artwork he liked on another pedestal system we built not so long back, and we've then replaced the controls on there. That way he's still got his X-Arcade system intact, but we've covered up the damage that was done with new artwork, and he wanted us to integrate this into a system. Now we don't normally recommend integrating prefabricated control panels because it can look very ugly, it can be very tricky, and working with our PCs it can be quite difficult to set up because we have our controls set up in a certain way that makes it more efficient for general kind of production. And doing that with an X-Arcade is a bit more difficult because the encoders aren't as good, the parts aren't quite as reliable, and like I say, integrating them is tricky. And the biggest problem is because the systems have things like side mounted buttons and a number of interfaces and wires and etc. on the back, it makes it very difficult to create any kind of integration with a standard system. If you imagine trying to put this control panel onto something like, this has just been unwrapped, it's our Slimline King demo model, that's standard control panel there. And as you can see, there's nothing on the back to fell against the shelf section, and we feed all our cables through the base of the unit, which makes it easier going into the cabinet. It means there's no problem with attaching it, which we do by means of several bolts through the base. So we've had to come up with a system for this customer. We've agreed to do it purely because he will be using his own PC. Demand for these is quite large, and we'd like to be able to offer something to X-Arcade owners. They're not bad systems at all. They're good if you've already got one. We would recommend going to a proper custom layout and a more optimal layout and better controls and encoders that we use in our full machines, such as on this one. But for those who've got them and really don't want to go to the trouble of selling them to raise the funds for a machine, but would like to go to a machine, something like this we could actually do. Obviously the pedestal's got a nice open top section. It's already just a box basically on top of a pedestal section anyway, like our projector cable model there, where you can see the control panel just sits on top of it. So all we've had to do is kind of fabricate something that will make the X-Arcade removable again in the future, but will also make it acceptable to play on this system and not look too out of place. Now the box we've got on top at the moment kind of demonstrates this. This isn't the final box. This was a preliminary one we did just to kind of get an idea of the sizing and test the fit and everything. The production one has been made 2 inches deeper because basically you've got to allow for the depth of the control panel as well as bolting the control panel section to the pedestal through the base, so it will stay on there and hold firm, and then the weight of the system will just basically hold it in the top all around the rim. And as you can see from a couple of notes there, there'll be a couple of vertical strips which basically just support the base from the bottom but allow clearance for the bolt heads when they go through, and will also bring the control panel surface up to the correct height that we test and use on all our systems, which is fairly consistent between the different ones, as you can see. The control panel, overall control panel height is roughly the same on all our systems. So we've built this box, and as you can see, what we've got is we've got cutouts at the sides for the start and select buttons. I would imagine they would be on the X-Arcade system, and then at the back there is a cutout for the serial port and the mode switch, because you can use the X-Arcade with certain consoles. And then the main connection cables come out of this section here, so we've got a single cutout for that there. It looks kind of odd as it stands, but once the X-Arcade system is sat inside it, and once it's all painted up to match, it all integrates beautifully. I shall put that in a minute just to demonstrate that. What the customer also wanted on this is he wanted an accessible keyboard drawer, which we've done. It was tricky because of the shallow depth of the pedestal section, but we've put a nice chrome handle on there, and we've now got a drawer system which locks in place when it's in, but then will come out so far and will enable you to have an accessible keyboard inside there, and that's attached by a catch system at the back there. And as you can see, there's also some extra ventilation the customer's requested, because he'll be fitting quite a high-end PC in this. When that pushes back in, it just clicks into place so it doesn't fall out if the machine tips forward. And then down the base there we've put a viewing window which has been backed with standard acrylic, and the hole has been lined with chrome T-moulding. The customer will be backlighting that, so you'll be able to see all the kind of water-cooled PC components. That'll be quite a nice effect. It'll be great to see that once it's finished. On the inside, you may just be able to see we have drilled a vented grid along the bottom, still maintaining the integrity, but giving an extra little bit of airflow inside there for him. The system will all be finished with chrome T-moulding once it's done. The artwork we've had a bit of trouble with on this one, but it is on its way, and that is all that is now required to finish this system up. The main control panel box is actually in the paint room being painted at the moment, so that'll be finished up. What I'm going to quickly do now is set this down and just show you how the X-Arcade slots into it.